Good evening, everybody. How you doing? Ooh, good. So welcome to the City Council meeting. It's 6:30, so we're going to get started. It's August 13th. Let the record reflect that everybody's here that's on the council, and they are wearing their first place Padre jerseys. Go Padres. More importantly, let's go Angels.
Right now, let's go Angels.
All right, so tonight, the invocation will be given by Pastor James Hunick. He attended Concordia, University of Wisconsin. University of Wisconsin is a Lutheran higher education community committed to helping students develop in mind, body, and spirit to serve to Christ in the church and the world. He's married to his wife, Kristen, in 2003. They moved to St. Louis, Missouri, where he studied at Concordia Seminary. Pastor Hunick went on to serve several churches in the Chicago area for the next 13 years of his ministry. He began working first at the Lutheran Church in November 2021. And he's excited about serving both the congregation and the El Cajon community. He loves helping others to see the beauty and grace of Jesus Christ as seen through the teachings of the Lutheran Church, to give them the comfort and peace only Jesus can give. In his free time, he enjoys photography, researching Lutheran history, which is very important in your business, I'm sure, writing and cooking. And maybe we'll have you bring dinner one night. So thank you for joining us here tonight. And Pastor, we'd like for you to pray for our country, our state, and our city council, and for the Angels. It seems like a great segue. And then after that, we're going to let Dodger Blue do the Pledge of Allegiance tonight. Sandy. Just calling you out.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, let's pray. Heavenly Father, you have appointed government for the good of your people to establish justice and promote the welfare of all. We ask that you watch over all those who are in need of your guidance. Guide this nation, our state, and this council as they consider the business that is presented before them. Watch over all competitors as they go about their business, that all would perform well and do well before you, and help all of us to serve you and love one another. Through Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So not only do we do the people's work here, but we also have a little bit of fun. So I hope everybody appreciates that, because if you're not having any fun, you might as well just go about your business in a boring sense. So, all right, let's see. Where are we going to go here first? Well, let's see. Did anybody know that the Chamber of Commerce in Santee is celebrating their 70th anniversary? Raise your hand if you knew that. Well, gee, all the people from the chamber. Okay, well, tonight we're going to thank you for that, and the vice mayor is going to come down and present you with a proclamation from the city. So if you're from the chamber, come on up. Don't be shy. I know you all, and you've never been shy before.
So we have Susie Parks here, who's the chair of the chamber.
All the way up.
Here, guys.
All the way up.
And Amanda Doherty, president and CEO of the chamber. And we have a proclamation for you. It's like a nice frame and everything. Look at that. I'll go ahead and read this. It says, whereas the Santee Chamber of Commerce was established on August 4th, 1955 as a coalition of citizens and business people dedicated to the promotion and advancement of commercial, industrial, professional, and civic interests. And whereas operating under the guidance of a volunteer board of directors, the chamber carries out numerous programs, all designed to encourage economic development, small business education, governmental policies analysis, and positive community relations. Whereas in addition to promoting a strong local economy, the Chamber has served as the voice of business in the Santee community and provided a platform for business leaders, resources, and advocacy. And whereas this year marks the 70th anniversary of the founding of the Santee Chamber of Commerce, now, therefore, I, Rob McNellis, on behalf of John Minto, Mayor of the City of Santee, and the entire City Council, do hereby proclaim and commemorate the Santee Chamber of Commerce on their 70th anniversary. This is where you clap.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I'm incredibly excited to be a part of the Chamber. As for those who don't know, I joined the Chamber as President and CEO as of May of this year. So what an incredible honor to take the helm at such an incredible milestone as our 70th year. So if you are not in attendance normally at our Chamber events, please, we welcome you next Wednesday, 5 o'clock, to come over to Mission Realty Group, be a part of our Chamber, start to learn and grow with our business community. And it's been truly, I can speak at least for myself on behalf of my board, an honor to serve you.
I'm just going to do a post shot and not post it. Okay.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
No?
All right. All right, let's go to the consent calendar. Any items to be added, deleted, or reordered? Ron?
No.
Laura?
No.
Dustin?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Vice Mayor?
No, sir, Mr. Mayor.
City Manager? City Attorney?
No, sir.
And do we have any speaker slips?
We do, sir. We have a speaker on item 2, item 3, and item 9.
Item 2, 3, and 9. Okay, so we'll take those separately. So do I have a motion for the calendar?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, please vote.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. We'll go to item number 2, approval of meeting minutes of the Santee City Council for the special meeting of July 11 and regular meetings for July 11, June 25th, and July 9th.
The speaker is Truth.
Welcome.
Hi there. I did not come here for fun. So my time is going to be boring. That's why I had to come with fun. Is the mic on? Yes. Okay. The June 11th minutes, the minutes of the special meeting should be a full transcript of the missing audio because I have no idea what happened. The regular meeting minutes said I commented about potential ideas, the arts and entertainment district. So you're missing the word "for" in that sentence because grammar is important. It's one of the serious things I care about. And the July 9th minutes, instead of saying I spoke about new traffic controllers in Santee, it'd be more accurate to say I spoke about the city's new AI camera traffic system. That's different than the regular traffic controllers. That concludes my comments on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to approve item number 2.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Motion carries unanimously.
Item number 3 is approval of payment of demands as presented. Speaker slips.
Truth.
Okay, $19,000 for an investigation by JL Group, Inc. An investigation of what? Of course, I looked it up. Obviously, a third-party workplace investigation. That sounds fun. $4,950 total cost for the entertainment at the summer concerts, just the music part. $11,000 just for the insurance for an expensive merry-go-round. How much for each ticket, I guess would be my question. $18,000 for the fireworks. I'd just like to point out the cost of things. $28,897 to Sandag, and easy question, why? For what benefit does Santee get, let alone East County? To paraphrase Lemon Grove Mayor Allison Snow, if people in East County were to show up like the residents of Del Mar did for the Los Sand tracks being eventually tunneled under their homes, maybe Sandag would take the recent 8 Highway 67 deaths more seriously and fix the road to make it safe. $160 mileage reimbursement for Ron, and I'm wondering why couldn't you have just taken the trolley? Jeez. $186 for security at a City Hall event. What kind of event happened in this building? $9,666.66 for city manager recruitment. And I don't know if that means Gary has no chance or he has a chance. I'm not sure. $206,000 on AI traffic cameras, including $177,000 for a backup battery from Swarco. And on their website, a Swarco worker said, connected vehicles and autonomous vehicles where cars are going to drive with no drivers behind them. We're at the forefront of actually participating in that industry and that segment. So Swarco has a facility in Otay Mesa, while their headquarters are in Vista, and doesn't seem like they're up to anything good to me. $12,000 for AV services by ETS Production. And I point this out because I heard Lemon Grove is trying to figure out how to join the television era. And so I said, Santee's doing great. I don't like the petty reimbursements with zero explanation. I also don't like when I make petty grammatical errors and have to fix them because I can't stand it even when I play way out of date because I tested it and found out, wow, you guys are, you need to catch up. $1,000 to Guerrilla Team artists who paint utility boxes. Question on that. Who decides the art that is going to be painted? Is that the Hidden Arts Commission? Let's see. Mystery meeting supplies total $553.79. Transportation totaled about $170, and I'm just tired of this Marriott biking to meetings. You like biking, right? Come on. And the last one, just to trigger people, I'm not sure about $120 pickleball classes. Thank you.
Motion to approve item number 3.
I have a motion. Second. I have a second. Did you get that, James? Okay, please vote.
Motion carries unanimously.
That takes us to item number 9, adoption of a resolution appropriating funding from the general fund reserve to fund a professional service agreement with Howard Blackson for conceptual design services.
That would be $18,500 to urban designer Howard Blackson for the interim activation concept plans for a potential theater parcel. And I have issues with this company. From their website, they talk about their almighty leader, Leon Cryer, somebody from Luxembourg who lacked understanding of American architecture, design, and lifestyle. Clearly, because they promote 21st century urbanism and the mid-21st century economic development model for citizen consumers. Sounds pretty cold. Directly quoting from their website, our state-by-state policy shift towards mixed-use walkable urbanism is finally complete. Every city across the nation has general or comprehensive plan policy that allows for urban infill development. But this process has taken 30 years, and the promised transit to support this new urbanism hasn't been funded, and now we're in a new socializing era. That low-density, auto-oriented suburban homes would become mixed-use, live-work buildings. We didn't plan for urban downtowns to have less work and less shopping after building more housing. We didn't plan for the cultural backlash of electing a black president and burned down our federal government and defunded our education and often about how great mixed-use, walkable, transit-supported urbanism is for our civilization. In my part of the world, San Diego, despite our nation voting yesterday to going back to a less civilized time, you want to know what I'm talking about? I see Trump as a criminal. Trump is restructuring our government into partisan loyalists, which should be opposed rather than being complicit with. As much as I support classical and traditional architecture, I cannot enable Trump's evil intentions in exchange for building a better FBI building. And my words, ironic how he was willing to defend Hitler's cabinet minister friend, Albert Speer. Going back to their writing, fortunately, the city of San Diego's planning department is starting to reform its zoning. It recently identified and adopted transit priority and sustainable development areas. These allow for new projects that include affordable housing to waive its zoning, such as height, setbacks, and density. This is a very smart understanding. Born from racism and modernism in response to the industrial age, conventional planning and zoning is just a dumb form of segregation by land use. Residential, commercial, and industrial use separation has wasted our time, space, and money. It's when we're shopping in a Walmart, walking along a box culvert creek, driving on a freeway, and being isolated, do we more quickly lose our energy. So I'm just going to skip to the chase. I skim half of the blog write-ups, and to simplify my disgust, different values, different results. Their values or lack thereof doesn't deserve one tax dollar from the city of Santee. So let's keep let's keep Howard Blackson in the city of San Diego. Thank you.
Motion to approve item number 9.
Have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Motion carries with 4 aye votes. Councilmember Koval voting no.
All right, that takes us to non-agenda public comment. Speakers?
Yes, Mayor, I do have 5 speakers, the first being Carl Constantino.
Welcome.
I basically just have a question. How do we get something on the agenda? I would like to see Santee entertain an ordinance to regulate e-bikes and scooters before some kid gets killed. Specifically, training.
Hold on a second.
No.
Sean, haven't we talked about that?
E-bikes and scooters.
Yeah, about
There are
ordinances?
some regulations on the books about e-bikes and scooters, yeah.
Okay. Aren't we working on something for that? I don't remember.
Nothing new, nothing new that we're working on.
Okay, well, we'll talk about that. But
Okay, because I know you guys, as we talked last time, you guys default to the state regulations, which are ridiculously lax. And I'm just tired of seeing kids blasting all over the place on their e-bikes. I had to slam on my brakes yesterday to keep from hitting one. And he was, surprisingly, he was very apologetic. But I've heard horror stories from other people. But I would like to see training and certification. Okay. Must obey the rules of the road. You show me one 12-year-old out there that knows all the rules of the road. Okay. And I think 12-year-olds is too young. Should be 14 years old. And that would give them better prepared to get their driver's license at 16. Although I'm told that's no longer a priority like it was when we were kids. So that was it. I just would like to hope that we do something proactive on this.
Was it Encinitas that just passed those new laws?
what'd you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, Encinitas, Chula Vista is the one that just finished passing, and theirs is pretty good.
Great, thanks, Carl.
The next speaker is Kathleen Lippett.
Welcome, Kathleen.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for letting me speak. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Those of us who have worked for decades have been challenged to overcome the deep pockets of marijuana industry profiteers. Their attorneys and others who have economic conflicts of interest in expanding the availability, access, use, and even addiction of marijuana for high-potency marijuana products are their greatest profit makers. At the recent meetings, we listened to hours of testimony from retail permit applicants who extolled marijuana virtues as a medicine, though they are neither qualified nor legally permitted to do so early on, and it causes people to misplace their compassion. The answer to it is not the answer to health problems, as they claim. One of them even claimed it had cured their customers' cancer. Who we didn't hear from were the voices of addiction specialists, ER docs, school resource officers, youth leaders, pastors, of the documented evidence of the harm that has been presented over and over. The litigation previous cities have incurred after inviting the marijuana industry to locate in their communities is evidenced in many, many cities. The city of San Diego spent $1 million up front to establish their marijuana commercial footprint. And they had to sue the marijuana permitted retailers because they didn't pay their taxes. I requested via public records request all of the associated staff time, resources, and hired consultants for this ordinance. I was told it was about $100,000 since fiscal year 2022 to 2023 in legal fees and following consulting service contracts, etc. That amount seems woefully under what it probably is. I was told that there may not have been a code that was associated with this ordinance, and there should be. That should have been spent, that money should have been spent on the lives of your residents, your families, your businesses, not to help a marijuana industry establish here. And my apologies, but Mayor, I was really disappointed in your last comment that you said you were all wonderful applicants, and I wish I could approve all of you. I hope that that's not true, because I don't think that's true anywhere else.
The next speaker
Thank you.
is John Hosick.
Well, good evening, City Council, Mayor, and of course the citizens of Santee. So as you guys might well know, I'm the Santee Mobile Home Owners Action Committee President, or SMOAC President. I actually want to thank the City Council and a lot of the community for a couple of different things. One, about a week ago, I would say we had Laura Cavall. She actually visited Meadowbrook and was able to talk to the residents, and also Mission Gorge Villa. And ironically, I think that Mission Gorge Villa, they're started to pave those dips in the road, just so you know. Thank you for that. So each set of the city council people have done different things, and I'm going to highlight them along with this. More importantly, I wanted to talk about the Buddy Backpack program that was in the 11th year. We've given out over 14,000 backpacks since 2015. It was founded with Dustin and Rob on the city council prior to them being on the city council. They've been immensely supportive. Before I get to that, I have an amazing committee: Alana, Rose, Sylvia, Suzanne, Judy, and Helen, who have been steadfast in supporting this program. That also includes the firefighters, Miss Santee, the Santee Chamber, Junction 52, Jimmy's, Dino's. Those are just a few of the public entities and businesses that have supported this program this year. That doesn't include the over 25 businesses as well, or the Lakeside Rotary that has been a constant influence for this actual event, which touches thousands of local lives within our city. In addition to that, the mayor has been very supportive throughout the years, and Ron has always showed up to actually guide the traffic. However, what alludes to your last speaker, unfortunately, I have to say, is that, we don't get to choose the dispensaries that came. However, our city council actually did choose pretty darn good ones. And let me explain why. So Rob McNellis was able to convince, through his leadership, to donate to Buddy's Backpack. That made it a gigantic difference to this community. It will continue to make a gigantic difference to this community. That includes the Santee Project, Flight, Green Reserve, and Buzz. Just an example, we gave out 1,100 backpacks at the site, 100 to a local school, and we're giving out 300 to the Marines. So thank you very much for your support.
The next speaker is Toby Brown.
Hey, John, it's a Santee Lakeside Rotary.
Hi. I came in tonight just to reiterate something that I have said before the council in the past, but it's been several years. I live on Mesa Road, just around the corner from Mayor Minto, and he's aware of the condition of the road because when the city incorporated, all the roads within the city boundary were turned over from the county to the city, and The one road that got neglected was the last third of a mile of Mesa Road, and it's been turning into potholes over the years, the 28 years that I've lived there. It's just been degrading over that period of time. I've even paved the road in front of my own house and get no respect in terms of maintenance, which I was told by city engineering at the time, if you pave your road, we'll take care of it. That never happened. But the road is in really poor condition. I would say it's one long set of potholes. There's more potholes there than the entire rest of the city. Now, if I said we need a new paved road, then they say, oh, well, we've got to put up curbs. It's got to be to certain standards. This and that has to have sidewalks, et cetera. I just want the pothole fixed. It's one big, long pothole. And the neighbors and I have even paid to have a private contractor come in and lay down pavement. He started at the top end and got down to near where it joins the paved road and ran out of material. Funny thing is, when was it, 24 years ago or so, that Mission Gorge got torn up and re-asphalted. I talked with the engineer at that time and said, hey, what are you doing with all that asphalt? Well, we have to dispose of it. I said, how about if you mix it with some hot mix and put it up on Mesa Road? Oh, great idea. They started at the top, worked their way down, so the top got the best pavement where there's just a few houses up there. And by the time they got near to where it joins the paved road, it's trash. So it really never got fixed. I realize it's not a big community because there's only a dozen homes up there. However, it is public use. Park visitors for Mission Trails frequent that, and I would estimate 70 to 80% of the traffic is park visitors and other travelers that don't live there. But if you want to claim it's a private road, there is a sign up there that says private road, and if you'd like it to be one, give me a gate. Otherwise, it needs to be paved.
Thanks, Toby.
The final speaker is Truth.
So I'm repping a place nobody in Santee can stay away from, John, Imperial Beach, because a true fact, the #1 visitor to HessFest held in IB comes from the city of Santee. So either Santeans really love beer, which is a definite possibility, or they like beer specifically in Imperial Beach. So I'd be happy to give whoever wants it some coupons for the next visit to Imperial Beach. And John, the difference between using a private phone for public city business is one can delete evidence without anyone knowing. You can't legally do that with a public phone. There could also be accidental releases of private information, and I know that because I've done PRAs where I received info I wasn't supposed to get, including confidential documents that are going to be used in a case. Next, as seen on USA Today, national building inspection data shows Santee's bridges to be in poor condition. Examples: Prospect Avenue over SR 67 needs repair or corrective action. Prospect Avenue over Forester Creek, Cuyamaca Street over San Diego River, Mission Gorge Road over Forester Creek, Carlton Hills Boulevard over San Diego River, and SR 52 over Mass Boulevard are all in poor and structurally deficient condition. I've been at plenty of SANDAG meetings and I've never once heard Caltrans address this topic of decaying infrastructure. What has the city done to address this with the state and Caltrans? And I didn't see the end of the last meeting, so I don't know who got the golden permits, other than what John said, but highlights on the way too long pot shop interviews. Siesta Life was sketchy. Green Reserve with a Sportsplex connection is unethical. Catalysts were clowns. Flight, I question when they said they ID people to make sure they only buy what they need, not what they want. Embark had a former Vista council member who came across as fake because Vista's nothing to brag about. Just look at the environment-damaging 420 smokeout they had. High 10, after hearing social equity 3 times, equity twice, and records expunged, they definitely lost me. March and Ash had way too much political union talk. Buzz sounded like they were kicking out their own family to have a pod shop with privacy, invasive facial recognition, and RFID scanners. Culture Cannabis Club having a CEO being on the Cal City's executive committee is questionable. Holistics, why are they friends with criminals Jerry Sanders and Kevin Faulkner? They also said they set up at a family environment, the beach. Marijuana's all about money. A few pot shops got local buy-ins or sellouts, like teachers, to pretty the face of what they actually enable, which is addiction. The pot shops could just buy the community boards and redirect the money wherever they want. It could become political. So hopefully, a future tax on marijuana will end the fake community benefit fee, thereby taking the bribe money away from cities that implemented these mind-altering businesses. Pot shops, smoke shops, and liquor stores add nothing good to society. They can shove their death profits. Related, I believe the city of Santee should start planning for its own police department, especially with new developments like Fanita Ranch coming that will balloon the population. Even the city hall is too small to accommodate the current population. But ending on good news as always, a fellow outsider visitor told me they love Santee Lakes, that it's pristine and a great anytime vacation spot.
No further speakers.
Thank you. That takes us to item number 12, public hearing and introduction and first reading of an ordinance amending section to not require environmental review per California Environmental Quality Act, section 15378B5. So, well.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. My name is Madeline Matson. I'm the principal planner with the Planning and Building Department. Tonight, staff is bringing forward a later date for a more comprehensive update to the SMC. The purpose of the SMC industrial update is to enhance clarity within the municipal code and modernize and clarify uses. We added definitions for coffee house, distillery, winery, premises, and establishment. Clarified distinctions between permitted uses and when a conditional use is required. Consolidated duplicative categories and removed outdated or unused references. And aligned definitions and allowable uses from previous City Council interpretations, such as wineries and distilleries. Staff recommends open and conduct and close the public hearing on the ordinance amending Title 13 zoning. Introduce and conduct the first reading of the ordinance, and set the second reading and adoption of the ordinance for August 27th, 2025. This concludes staff presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. I do have two speakers.
The first being Carl Constantino.
Regarding the table that's included in that, Section C2B, which is services and animal care facilities. Given that this ordinance is for an industrial zoned area, and which is where most of these places are, 0800 to 1800 time window seems overly restrictive. What drove those times? Have there been complaints? So I would just suggest that gets looked at again. I know that unless, and if it is based on complaints, I would think that you should focus that to specific facilities, not just this global window. And that's it.
Thanks.
The next speaker is Truth.
That was a good question, actually. I missed that one. I did want to point out, though, that the item says the City of Santee, California is a municipal corporation. I like to point that out publicly so everybody knows what we're looking at. The last time the zoning code was heard was I think it was said last year. So I would ask, why did it take a year to update the code? Because it wasn't that long to read, I don't think. The city is now saying that there's something called a coffee house, which is weird because I don't go to coffee houses. I go to coffee shops, and I'm wondering why you wouldn't want them to have fresh sandwiches for sale. Why do they have to be pre-made sandwiches or pre-made goods? It's not very appealing. I don't know. So are coffee shops still allowed, or is there a difference between coffee house and coffee shop? That wasn't addressed in there. And related, also maybe not. I think Santee would benefit from a better buzz coffee. Just an idea. Is there a way you can convince them to come? They need more locations. Question, why can distilleries act as restaurants? They can sell food, fresh food, but the coffee houses can't. I'm trying to figure that out. And I know the winery update is to accommodate a new winery. And you have a bunch of initials in here, IL, IG, PC, MC. What does that mean? Is there some way we can find out? Because if you want to know why you don't get any comments on things like this, is because it just doesn't make sense for the average person. Thanks.
I got a question, though. Is there a difference between a coffee house and a coffee shop? How did that term come up? I think that's a good question.
We looked at Starbucks' definition for coffee house, and we aligned with what was recommended from what they call for coffee houses.
In that case, we should probably eliminate it. No offense to Starbucks. Well, maybe. Okay, so this idea of fresh sandwiches or what are pre-made, prepared food versus fresh-made food. Can you explain a little bit more about that and why you would allow something or not allow it?
James, can you pull up the presentation, please?
Anybody?
I wanted to pull it up on the screen so you could
Oh,
see where we're talking about here. This was already identified in the SMC or Santee Municipal Code. We did not look at what was pre-made. It could be fresh or delivered. They could make it in-house. It depends on what comes in to be reviewed. Am I missing something, Sandy?
We didn't specify the difference here in this section. So the reds are the new additions, and then the strikeouts are the removals.
It's in the definition,
Yeah.
Sandy, of coffee house. So
Oh, can you go to the next one? Is that what you're talking? No, next
Oh,
slide,
sorry.
the definitions.
So
So the difference between coffee shop, coffee house is related to trying to define a business that is essentially just selling coffee and maybe some pre-made type things. So think Starbucks in that case, because the coffee shop was specifically prohibited within the zone, and without the history of why that was the way it was, we were just guessing that maybe because people often think of coffee shops as a place you can go and get breakfast. Yeah, more of a restaurant. So this was trying to pull it back in, allow the coffee house or the Starbucks-like business.
So my concern, though, is it going to prohibit someone that wants to open and serve coffee at the place of business, prepare a sandwich on the premises, or do they have to buy those packaged sandwiches now to sell them, or prepackaged, donuts or any other kind of object?
Because these are accessory businesses. So think of you've got an industrial complex, and you're allowing some percentage of that complex to be used for accessory uses. So delicatessen. What wouldn't be allowed is a full restaurant in that situation.
We're trying to be careful, too, of industrial versus standards in terms of business operation, as the city manager mentioned, more an accessory use rather than a full permitted use, such as in a commercial designated area.
Well, all I can say is I know that if I go to a coffee shop, I really like the idea if they had just bake some, pastries there or something, or if they can put together, a ham sandwich. What it says to me here is that makes them more of a restaurant, and they can't do that. Am I missing something?
Well,
or?
I might suggest you could just leave it as, bear in mind, it says limited food items such as baked goods, pre-made sandwiches may be offered. I mean, if you want to strike out pre-made sandwiches, that's fine. It really doesn't change the situation. Yeah, I mean, it's like a delicatessen could sell coffee too. So
Well, that's just it.
Yeah. So if you want to strike that, I would just do it in your motion.
Does anybody have any other questions or heartburn about that, or?
About that specifically, or just?
Well, yeah, that, and then because it's kind of seemed like we had to pull a lot of teeth to get to that point, and
I just
I like to
strike out
get-
pre-made.
Yeah, pre stuff. I think we can get rid of that. So, did you have something else though?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, so the only thing that I actually tabbed was the animal care facility B. So, and I am wondering why the hours for a dog to run outside would only be between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m.
That was something we were discussing internally. We looked at additional dog care facilities in industrial areas, and that seemed, for example, there is a Camp Run-A-Mutt just on the, I'm blanking on the street, but it's in El Cajon. Similar hours of operation, so we looked at other jurisdictions for allowable hours, and that's how we came to that. But again, just how pre-made was taken out, we can look at the hours, and if you don't think that's suitable for this zone, we can look at that.
I'd also note that I'm sorry, Gary.
Oh, I was going to say, if you look, you can see that prior to these revisions, having exterior kennels required a conditional use permit. So we were looking to, well, how can we make this just a permitted use? And why did they require to have a conditional use permit in the past? And it seems that it's probably related to dogs barking in evening hours.
Well, and I'd also note that while this is an industrial zone, we do have industrial zones that are next to single-family houses, right? And so we have received those complaints in the past. And so to Gary's point, if we're processing a conditional use permit, what would we say? Well, they could have the business there, but we would want to say you can't have dogs barking at 2 a.m., right, because of the proximity to the houses. So we wanted to facilitate somebody being able to come in, but say, if you can adhere to these hours, then you don't need to do a conditional use permit. You'd be allowed.
They're walking them, before dusk, 7 o'clock. And I don't think 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. is unreasonable. It's still daylight hours most of the time in Santee. And, I was thinking of the dogs like, they got to go out after 6 p.m. I don't know. It just seemed a little too restrictive.
Well, and I also think that you're talking about maybe a couple dogs, right? Like that your neighbors are walking. Well, I hope they're not walking 13 of dogs at a time or something along those lines.
No, but I mean, it's a community walk. There's just a lot of dogs where I live. We're near the dog park, so yeah.
My only thought about that is, what about people that have brought their dogs in and then they're going to pick them up after work and maybe they can't be there by 6 p.m.?
Yeah. Maybe. Right, you can do this from 8 to 6. If you want different hours, like if you wanted 6 a.m., you need a CUP. So currently you need a CUP for everything, right? And I think staff looked at what kinds of conditions they normally put on those CUPs, and to make this more streamlined so you didn't have to do that, these are the hours that I think previously have been used for CUPs.
Is this one of those situations where this exists somewhere and we're just trying to clean it up?
No, this is basically staff trying to make this more streamlined so it's easier to have this business without having to do a CUP in the future. So now, if you wanted to open a kennel, you could open a kennel in this zone and you wouldn't have to get a CUP with this change. Currently, today, you do.
There is a request to do this, though.
Yeah. So I guess, you're obviously free to change the hours if you feel like it, but I think the idea is we wanted to recommend to you things that would be pre-approved as of right? You just go and you do it, you stay with these hours. If you're going to deviate from those hours, you would need a CUP. But you can, if it's 7 a.m. to 7
I think 7 to 7 is fair. I don't know how you feel.
I think 7:30 or 8 till 7 p.m. is fair.
Just go with 7.
Hey, man, people like to sleep in.
Isn't that the time that we have for construction? 7 to 7?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
So if you can take a jackhammer out there, then okay.
Okay, so, all right. Any other areas of concern? Do we have more? But that was our only speakers, right? Okay. So, okay, I'll go ahead and move the item.
With the two corrections?
With the two corrections that we did.
I'll second that.
All right. Any other discussion on the? Okay, let's please vote.
Motion carries unanimously.
All right, where was I? Took so long on that, my computer screen went dead. Item number 13, resolution appointing, oh, man.
What happened?
Nitin Nakrani.
Say it again?
Nitin Nakrani.
Nitin Nakrani. As interim building official and approving employment agreement. We met today and I still can't say the name. So, any speaker slips on that?
No, sir.
Okay. Any questions? Is there anything to present on that?
I'm presenting on it.
Well, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, and councilwoman. Yes.
Council members.
Right in the eyes, yes. On April 7th, 2025, the building official position became vacant. As such, the city needs to select an interim building official during the recruitment of a permanent building official. The item before you tonight is the consideration of the appointment of Nitin Nakrani as interim building official during the recruitment of a permanent building official. Nitin Nakrani has over 35 years of local government and management leadership experience that includes the review and supervision of complex projects and ensuring building code and construction compliance. Nitin spent most of his career with the City of San Diego and retired from the City of Irvine. Government Code Section 21221H allows the city to hire a CalPERS retired annuitant to fill a vacant position on an interim basis during the recruitment for a permanent appointment. The attached resolution will appoint Mr. Nakrani as the interim building official effective August 14th, tomorrow, in compliance with Government Code Section 21222H and approves the corresponding employment agreement. Staff recommends that the City Council adopt the resolution appointing Mr. Nakrani as interim building official and approve the employment agreement. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions?
No.
Okay. Is there a motion? Approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Please vote.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. That takes us to item number 14, which is a workshop on the Multiple Species Conservation Program, MSCP, City of Santee Suburban Plan, and finding that the workshop is not a project subject to the California Environmental Quality Act. Welcome.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, and City Council members. My name is Marnie Borg, Principal Environmental Planner with the Planning and Building Department. Tonight's workshop gives the background, purpose, and objectives, key components, and status of the MSCP Subarea Plan. I have been a part of the Subarea Plan and associated EIR and EA preparation since 2015. I'm pleased to introduce Sean Skaggs from Eben, Mosier, and Skaggs, who will present the workshop this evening. Sean specializes in endangered species matters, including the development of habitat conservation plans and natural community conservation plans. Sean has over 30 years of experience in this area and began working on the Santee Subarea Plan back in 2019. Sean?
Thanks, Barney.
Thank you. Good evening.
Welcome, Sean.
So this evening, I'm going to present a PowerPoint presentation that provides an overview of the City of Santee's draft subarea plan that is currently out for public review and comment. And the slides will provide an overview of the process, including what is a sub-area plan, the 5 objectives of this particular sub-area plan, the benefits from developing a plan like this. We're going to talk about the types of species and natural vegetation communities that this plan addresses, as well as the types of activities that are covered. And we'll also touch on the conservation strategy that was developed for the plan, anticipated costs moving forward, and next steps. But before we dive into the slides, I did want to emphasize the history and context for this sub-area plan. To do so, we have to set the Wayback Machine all the way back to like 1990, 1991. And amazingly enough, back in those days, everybody watched the same news at night. There were only like 3 channels. And every night the spotted owl would be on the news, and it was a train wreck, and you couldn't cut trees, and it was spotted owl every night. And we were about to see the next train wreck story, and it was right here in Southern California. It was about to be a news feeding frenzy because of a small bird that was proposed for listing in San Diego called the Coastal California gnatcatcher. And the proposed list, if the listing of the gnatcatcher was going to threaten to bring development to a screeching halt. But before the news cycles could kind of pick up on the new train wreck, representatives from the Department of Interior, in fact, Secretary Babbitt himself, representatives from the California Natural Resources Agency, sat down and met with local representatives from all the jurisdictions in San Diego County. And they started developing planning agreements, and out of those planning agreements emerged what's called the San Diego County Multiple Species Conservation Program, the San Diego MSCP. Now, the San Diego MSCP was a really innovative plan. It's over the years, it's had so many accolades. It's a national model. This is really the birthplace of regional conservation planning in California. I mean, whether it was Coachella Valley or Orange County, Western Riverside, East Contra Costa, Yolo, Santa Clara, they all followed in the footsteps of the San Diego MSCP. It'll have a special place in the history of conservation planning, and I think it'll be called the crown of the program. And if completed, the Santee Sub-Area Plan is the final jewel for that crown. Now, the city was involved in the very beginning, the city of Santee. It signed an enrollment agreement in the early 90s. It drafted a sub-area plan that went out for public review in 1997. It began implementing draft portions of that plan in its land use planning, and it added as a goal to the general plan completion of the sub-area plan. It also benefited from its participation in that program. It was able to use take authorization for the gnatcatcher that was provided through an interim process back at the time, and that allowed a lot of projects to move forward in the early 90s. So with that context, let's go ahead and dive into the slides. So what is the San Diego, or the sub-area plan? It's really bringing together principles of conservation biology, land use planning, environmental and administrative law in a way that provides for the long-term protection of species and habitat, allows for activities contemplated by the general plan to move forward, and allows for more natural areas for passive recreation, such as hiking and bird watching. There are 5 objectives for this plan, and I'll talk about the first and the last bullet together because they're both the biological goals. So the idea was to really try to permanently protect and manage what was left of the best natural habitat, and to make sure that maintain functional ecological linkages and wildlife movement corridors, not only within the city, but into other jurisdictions in the subregion. Key objective here is to actually get take authorization private landowners that would come in for local entitlement approvals. And it streamlines the whole process, and it provides a lot of certainty as to what kind of minimization and mitigation is required. So it becomes a very key aspect of the plan. It's a time saver and a cost saver. It also allows to meet recreational needs, parks and trails in the open space system. It accommodates a lot of the new requirements for defensible space. So that we celebrated the 50th anniversary of the ESA 2 years ago. What's interesting is even though the act was passed in 73, there was no HCP program until 1982. And even then, it just was really an afterthought until the mid-90s when it took off, and especially in California, in concert with what's called the Natural Community Conservation Planning Act, passed in California in 1991. And so this sub-area plan is an HCP, NCCP, so it has both the state and federal component to it. So how does it work? Well, this slide is really just trying to show that the main purpose of this process is to put the local jurisdiction in the driver's seat and to allow the wildlife agencies to take more of an oversight role so that it's not project by project permitting at the federal and state level. It's instead handled by the city through its local entitlement process to private landowners. This is the map of the entire San Diego MSCP. As you can see, Poway and the city of San Diego and the county and La Mesa and Chula Vista, they all completed their sub-area plans quite a while ago. And it's really the 1/3 of the county. In 97, the sub-area plan went out for public comment with everyone else. In 2006, there was really close to going back out as a sub-area plan to the public review, but the recession hit, and that was highly disruptive. So you see that, in fact, it doesn't really pick back up till 2015. Plan goes to the wildlife agencies in 2018, and here we are tonight with a public draft out on the streets. Benefits, economic benefits, and community benefits. So the environmental benefits are enormous. They essentially protects large blocks of species habitats before they become fragmented. It's kind of the last shot at this, as well as maintaining linkages and wildlife corridors between those blocks of habitat and again into other habitat preserves, including adaptive management, which helps address changed circumstances such as floods and fires and invasive species. I already kind of highlighted the cost and time saving from local permit, the local government kind of driving the process. Streamlining is incredibly important economic benefit, as well as the regulatory. One is simply that it does fulfill the goals and policies of the general plan. It'll also support more recent important initiatives by the city, the San Diego River enhancements, the connected trail system, and the enhanced wildfire protection. And it provides a lot of clarity to landowners trying to get through the process. So this plan now covers 20 species. We have 8 plants and 12 animals. The plants are very rare. In fact, San Diego mesa mint and San Diego button celery no longer occur in the city of Santee, but they will be reintroduced into vernal pools as part of this plan if adopted. The invertebrates were essentially typical of regional planning, trying to stay ahead of the curve. So Crotch's bumblebee, for example, is just a candidate species right now. It's not listed yet. And here's another example of Riverside fairy shrimp is also no longer in. We do have coastal California gnatcatcher, so the driver of the plan since the 90s. The important natural vegetation communities this plan addresses are coastal sage scrub, chaparral, grasslands, riparian habitat, and then a fairly comprehensive, they track the general plan. What we call a hardline project is known development plans, where the habitat that's going in the preserve. Future development tends to be more criteria-based. We don't really have all the specifics yet, so we have divided this up into what we call a hardline project and future development. And then we also have, and this is mostly city projects, we have the development and maintenance activities. So roads, bridges, trails, drainage projects, and again, this important new fuel management and defensible space activities. To develop a conservation strategy, we actually divided the city sub-area plan into 5 subunits, geographic subunits. You can see on the top of the slide in bright green is the Finita Ranch subunit. We also have up there in Santee Uplands. On the left is the Mission Trails subunit, and then in the middle we have the San Diego River subunit. And we'll talk about San Diego River in a little bit more detail because of the number of city activities in that subunit. This is a slide that shows those activities, the trails, connected trail system both along the north and south edges of the floodway. There is very much limited disturbance allowed in the floodway, and this will also allow for implementation of the mobility element in the town center specific plan. And this is, again, still in the San Diego River subunit. You can see the crosshatch, a little hard to see, but it's representing removal of invasive species. So there's a benefit to the native species from not only removing the invasives, but also reducing the potential of fire caused by those invasive species. So a real benefit in the river from space. The defensible space is normally not in the managed preserve, but in the San Diego River subunit it will be. We see a benefit there from just managing it. There will still be species benefits from managing it, even though it has to be. So this is the conservation strategy really consists of assembling a preserve, minimization measures for individual organisms. So that's not on this slide. We have nesting bird conservation standards, vernal pool conservation standards. Full build out of the general plan, if this plan were adopted, you would have a new sub-area plan managed preserve of the draft plan was targeting 2,067 acres. So there's actually more habitat preserved in the 2025 draft plan. The preserve, we know that's what it'll look like. The other areas are criteria based, so within those colors, eliminations. So the public outreach to date, there was a notice of preparation in March of 2023. There was a workshop at that time. There was a EIR scoping meeting in Area Plan and EIR just this month. And this is the public workshop tonight. So there will be, in the future, City Council public hearing for consideration of whether to adopt the plan or not. That'll be scheduled, anticipated winter of 2026. The estimated staffing and costs are on this slide. The staffing is to ensure that all the projects that come in actually are consistent with the sub-area plan, prepare annual reports and other administrative tasks like that. So the role of the preserve steward would be to interact with those preserve managers as well as preserve managers for the new have estimate. The other significant costs will be just trying to complete baseline surveys of all these preserved lands and develop resource management plans that would guide their management, for 35 years. Circumstances. This is part of obtaining regulatory certainty. The no surprises rule from the federal government requires that you actually specifically identify and then fund responses to change circumstances, such as a real increase in invasive species or one of these mega fires. And so for the City of Santee's San Diego River subunit, we're estimating that to be $75,000. And these slides are showing really the city's expected costs, but the costs associated with the Hardline Development Project and other individual projects are paid for by project proponents. So the next steps would be to respond to comments that we receive on the draft plan and the program EIR, to have a city council public hearing on all of these items. Would be the sub-area plan. There's an implementing agreement that goes with it that's signed with the two wildlife agencies, the program EIR level, and then there would be a number of pursuing grant funding at the federal and state level. as well as just making sure everybody's aware of the new program and the fact that they can now take authority or authorizations from directly from the. As noted earlier, there really are some economic benefits from the sub-area plan. It really comes down to local control, regulatory certainty, or even defensible space, the CIP projects, trails, stormwater improvement, vector control requirements. These would all, because without the plan, each of these projects has to go project by project individually, both through state and federal agencies. And that obviously, the city stands to gain ecological benefits and important planning and economic benefits. And if a safeguarding habitat and species that the MSCP was designed to protect. So in this manner, the sub-area plan would advance both conservation and community development and really honor the original vision of the San Diego MSCP. So that concludes my presentation, and we are now at the question and comment slide.
We have one speaker.
Truth?
So why did it take 3 decades until this plan was described to the public? How many millions or billions were first spent by the county and different cities before explaining the just like now, except it's more like wrestling now. The conservation crown of the county's program can be felt in the city of Imperial Beach. Okay, maybe the state was too concerned about the common gnat catcher rather than actual, real, tangible environmental issues that need to be addressed. The Endangered Species Act was signed by that crook, Nixon, just for the record. And then this plan, the only thing I've really heard for the city of Santee was we're going to protect the butterflies. Sensitive species, not endangered species, and there is a difference. Why do these non-endangered species matter? Oh, geez, what did I write? Why is there a need to reintroduce fairy shrimp? Why? What's the justification? Why are some humans trying to play God? Local jurisdictions implement sub-area plans because the state indirectly demands them. If they don't do it, they're not going to get funding. And I ask, how is that different than what Trump is doing? It's anything but local control. And then I heard it addresses fires. Okay, does it? Are there more or less fires since 1997? Oh, that was hard. That was easy to poke a hole in. Let's see. Oh, I also heard there's going to be limited disturbance in the floodway. Is that true? How many homeless people die in the floodways every year? Let's see. Here's what I know for sure. The county has a goal with the MSCP of using billions of our tax dollars to buy almost 100,000 acres of land. Now, if anyone thinks that's good, I can guarantee you it's not a good thing. Them in control of anything is not a good thing. That's really where this plan comes from, and then at some point, obviously from the federal government. Santee additional staffing costs, $400,000 to $600,000 a year. Oh, wow, what a benefit. And then I saw in the contract, ACOM. If that's the same ACOM as the one that San Diego was dealing with that had a monopoly on a lot of the sole source contracts, enough money made that they could pay to push an extra tax on ballots. And then it says, hold this up because this is really great out of that huge, like 1,000-page booklet. Look at these tadpoles. Doesn't that look appealing? Oh, I want to save those things. Those are, last question. But something about how many pages was that book? Did everyone in the room read all the pages and agree with every single thing on the plan? Because just the presentation, I don't think I agreed with any of it in there. And so that's your feedback. Deal with it. Thank you.
Council members, do you have any comments or questions? Ron?
I'd just like to go back to slide 22. Again, I also bring up as the truth did, the cost. Are we just spending this money and never going to get anybody back out of it? Is this coming out of our pocket, or are there any checks attached to it?
Do you want to go back to the funding side? Before that, go back 2 slides.
Grants, if nothing more.
Did you want 21?
21, I'm sorry, yeah.
Could you repeat that question, please?
Well, it's, if Truth brought it up, and I was looking at it too, we're spending all this money to hire to me to have all these people in there.
Yeah, I think
we're not
that's-
going to get a dime out of it, for what I can see.
Yeah, I think that at this draft stage, the idea was to put these three kind of half positions out there. It's a good question as to whether, the preserve steward role couldn't actually be handled as part of the city preserve manager role, for example. I mean, we just, it's.
Coordinator, to me, could be all three, couldn't they?
Well, I think, what's interesting is that the skill set is usually a little different. I mean, maybe you could do that. It's certainly worth exploring. The plan coordinator is got a little more of a typical planning role, and maybe it's already could be handled by somebody in planning compared to what preserve managers are typically, their skill set is.
So are we getting any money to do this, or is it just on our dime?
Again, I think that a lot of this can be recouped somewhat indirectly by the kind of cost savings you experience once you get these plans running compared to dealing with federal and state agencies. But other than that, a lot of, for example, what we showed on local assistance grants. So I think that was why these slides are highlighting the need to continue to pursue grant funding.
So go to 22, because that might be the one I'm looking for too. That's the same one, actually. Is the other thing is just, why are we introducing new species? Ironically, Truth and I are in the same, not ironically, but we're on the same idea here. I had the same problem.
Yeah, one of the thoughts behind that is there will be vernal pool restoration that'll be mandated just because of, for example, San Diego fairy shrimp is here. And
the street
really trying to cover the bases. Are we 100% sure Riverside fairy shrimp isn't going to show up? Cysts can be transported by birds and other things. Are we sure that all the negative survey? I mean, in this case, it's really the Hardline Development Project that is doing the vernal pool restoration on the Hardline Preserve, determined to be something they wanted to do just for certainty and coverage.
So it's on their dime then?
That's correct.
Okay. That I'm okay with. Okay. I guess we're stuck with it.
Anybody else before I weigh in? Have anything? Okay, I'm going to weigh in because this whole thing bugs me, ever since the time I came on council and we first started talking about it. So the thing that I see is that we talk about how this gives us local control, and what that really means is that we're in the driver's seat as long as we do exactly what the environmentalists or the state of California tell us, because if we don't, then they're going to fine us in some way, or we're going to get sued in some way. So how is that local control is the first question that I would ask.
Well, what I would say is that what you're doing is you're implementing a plan that you developed through some hard negotiations. I mean, it's your plan.
Hard negotiation with who?
With the Fish and Wildlife Service and the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. So, there are, bottom line is the state and federal law require you either avoid take or you minimize and mitigate to the maximum extent practicable. And so you either have a choice of no action or get the permit. And if you get the permit on a project by project basis, you fight this fight again and again. If you and mitigation to the max extent practicable, then you've managed to develop your own plan. There's so many different ways to do these plans, and so you try to develop a plan that works for your city, and it turns out to be, in the experience elsewhere, it turns out to be far superior to no plan.
Okay, so I guess, Sean, I have a question for you then. Offices to negotiate this plan?
Well, more recently, Sandy and Sean have been the lead on this, but that these negotiations are very difficult, and we're protecting the city's interests while achieving the criteria.
Why is it so difficult?
Because we're trying to get that local control in a way that's beneficial to the city, but also stays within the necessary criteria. And so now that's what we're having to do. So this is a way to have this fight once and sort of be successful and have a good program, and then we get to implement it. and we get to do it on our own.
Okay. So, so here's another really interesting question. How far back do we go in time to to create a condition where we can reintroduce an endangered or a, what do we call these species here, specific or?
Sensitive.
Before we start getting into making sure that we have made accommodations for extinct
How many
species.
dinosaurs do we have to?
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be clear, I mean, the mesa mint and the button celery and the riverside fairy shrimp are in San Diego County. And like I said, there's no guarantee they're not in Santee. And so we're not talking about, getting out the DNA and out of some frozen glacier and trying to bring them back. That's why we're able to talk about reintroducing them. We have the riverside fairy shrimp cysts. We have the plants. And again, there was a debate as to whether to keep those on the list. I think the Wildlife Agency said if they're not in the plan area, we'd probably just not give you regulatory certainty. We'll drop them from the list and see what happens in 10 years. And the hardline development project proponent said, well, I'm already doing vernal pool restoration. Why don't I just go ahead and commit to putting them in the vernal pools and declare victory?
So what happens if...
wait a minute, I'm not finished yet. So here's the thing, though. We've learned, many of us on this council, that you show this great picture of what you call a vernal pool, almost like a little lake. But we know that these mountain bikers that go out there and leave an indentation in the ground and it gets wet, that's also called a vernal pool. So what we're doing is really setting up for a vernal pool anywhere on the earth, so to speak, so that the environmental community can just make sure that they stick it to every municipality or difficulty I have with all this, because I don't believe that there is any hard bargaining. I think it's about us coming to the table with these agents, and then we go, all right, this is just another way to stick it to the developer, so they pay the fees, they pay for all these people that are going to come to work here. And whom can answer this question? How much time to spend already on that? How much money do we spend on the people that have to address this on the cost savings? You mentioned the cost savings. Where's the cost savings? Somebody's got to go through this stuff anyways, whether it's staff we have here now or staff
program into your current land use entitlement program. It just becomes part of the general plan. I mean, it really is like all the other conditions you have in the general plan. I mean, and people are doing that for each project, right? But when you go I've worked involved with project by project permitting cannot be underestimated. There's always a heavy lift. There's never an easy project. That's my experience. And you get these plans in place for 35 years and it has regulatory certainty. What that means is the ratio, the mitigation does not change into plan, and see what was that mitigation cost in 2003 compared to now. It changes. It always goes up. And so locking this stuff in for the long term is the way to go.
Yeah, well, I don't believe that locking it in is going to change the amount that we spend, because everything goes up every year, every couple of years anyways.
Well, my snarky comment to that is, that I made to Councilmember Hall, is it's probably the cost savings is in the attorney fees we pay project by project with the litigation.
The don't sue me clause.
Well,
I don't. That's more expensive than staff.
Yeah, but I don't care how well we bargained here and how well our sub-area plan is approved. Every single time we approve a plan, unless it's some infill project, we're going to get sued just because they can. And so having a plan, I don't know.
Mayor, I think we need to come back again and explain it, and again, because if you just focus on what we want to do in the river and some of the challenges and the delays we experience because we don't have this in place, maybe we can try to give you more detail on that to show you how this is a way to have the local control to be able to achieve the council's policy goals in certain areas where we're hamstrung right now. I think we
Okay.
need to maybe explain that better and
All
try
right.
to
Well,
cost it out
When we
more.
come back, if we can determine what some of those costs have been over the years, and if I can see a cost savings, maybe I'll feel better about this, but it's just my gut says that there is no cost savings. And just because it was, let's say, $1 million in 2000 doing business, things are a lot more expensive now. So if you could put it in, terms, in practical terms, how much money have I spent on my staff doing all the research, all the things that they have to do now to get something approved, that we're compelling them to do because of these, this Title VII, which is pretty ambiguous.
Mayor, I think we can try to give you some more concrete examples of how this kind of approach provides the type of benefits that Sean has outlined, and try to
Okay.
do that in a more concrete fashion for you. Because, I mean, there is a value to this. I think we're just not maybe conveying that fully. The other thing I would note is that Sean mentioned that there's already been significant value to the development community through this process because, as Sean started with, the gnatcatcher basically was going to shut down all development, and the city was allocated a certain amount of habitat that we could locally approve the destruction of through a process. So we've already benefited from that. We try to kind of remind you of that in more detail, so you can see why, even though this has taken forever, and it has been expensive, although a lot of the staff time has been grant funded, there's still a value to it, at least in staff's perspective. And we need to try to explain that better to you.
Yeah, I think I need to have that explained a lot better, and where this is going. And I don't know, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm the only one that feels this way. Because I know you work hard on this. I know we're not people in Sacramento, and the unelected people that are making these rules, a lot of them don't even really care what we think at our level. So, did you have one more?
Yeah,
thing?
one more question. First of all, we understand you're the messenger, so don't take it.
This will streamline our long-term ability to
clear out brush in the river.
clear out and do defensible space and have the trails that you want to have and be able to maintain those in the way you want them to, without having every time to do a new survey, to go talk to a different agency. I mean,
Well, 3 years from now, we're finally going to get the brush cleared, maybe.
Right, and that's the point, right? And so maybe of why we still think this is worth completing, even though it has taken a long time to get where we are.
Yeah, but in a way, we saved a lot of money too, so.
I think I can give some examples too for projects that are currently queued in the CIP program. For instance, we have like the bridge repair and restorations program. When we go in to do bridge repair patching, we have to get under the bridge deck. So we're underneath the San Diego River, we're in channels and creeks. Projects like that will require an expensive EIR to go in to just do minor patching because we're in a waterway or a wetland. So this program allows us to have those as pre-scheduled takes essentially to allow lines that are in okay shape now, but they drain directly to the waterways, Sycamore Creek, the San Diego River. For us to get from the public right-of-way in our streets, from those pipelines getting down to the river, all will require independent EIRs for those projects, which are most likely going to be around $200,000 to $400,000 for maintenance activity projects.
And that's just city operations. We also have the trail development plan anytime Nick wants to expand or maintain a trail, the sub-area plan with agreement with the wildlife agencies. Some of the commitments that are components of that FEMA grant are already going to be components of the sub-area, so you could see alignment with the costs that are associated there with what we're trying to do too for the resource management plan for the Santee. So when we do talk with the wildlife agencies, it's very clear this is what we're trying to do. We're in alignment with our mobility element. So we have, wherever we've anticipated, bridges to go over the river, that's already included in the covered act. And I'll tell you, they don't like that. Sorry, there'll be a comment from them. But so we've said, this is what we're trying to do. This is what the coverage is. And then we've calculated based off of that what our impact will be, but still how much we're preserving, which is beyond what we said we would in the acreage, which proves we're meeting those goals, but in a way that matches what we want to do as a city. And it gives us that stability. So we need to do defense defensible space. We're not doing emergency ordinances or orders, right? We're saying, no, that's part of the defensible space we've already planned. We've mapped that all out in the sub-area plan. So it's taken some time, but mostly because we're folding in all the things that we're doing now and want to do in the future so that it's covered and we don't have to come back, in some amount of time and wait to see how long it takes to get through both of those agencies.
And that was my question about the bridge. So you think
It's in there, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, then, if that's it, thanks for listening. I just think it's a scam. Okay, that takes us to non-agenda public comment.
No additional speakers, Mayor.
No additional speakers. Great, thank you. Let's go to city council reports. Ron? Laura? Dustin?
No report, Mr. Mayor.
Lots of happy kids. Well, not really happy going back to school, but a little happier going to school with a free backpack and filled with a ton of supplies. Thanks to the generosity of so many people up here, as well as in the gallery and all around Santee.
Great, thanks. I don't have anything to report either. Gary?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm pleased and proud to introduce you to your new permanent fire chief, Harley Wallace.
Harley, no permanent's a relative time, right?
All right, then.
Congratulations, Chief.
Absolutely.
No report, Mayor.
Great. All right, then, not hearing anything else and not having a closed session, meeting is adjourned.